introduction, hormones are chemical signals released to the circulatory system and communicate regulatory message within the body. They reach all parts of the body, but only target cells have receptors for that hormone. Next, we move to the endocrine and nervous system. It can be divided into two, which are the nervous system that convey high-speed electrical signal along the neurons, while the endocrine system will secrete hormones that coordinate but longer-acting response to the stimulant. The hypothalamus played a key role in connecting both systems. As we can see in the picture, they are the major endocrine glands and their function, such as hypothalamus, pituitary gland, thyroid gland, parathyroid, adrenal gland, pancreas, ovary for female, and testes for male. How does it work? Endocrine cells work by releasing hormones, then the hormone will travel through the blood toward target cell response. Some endocrine cells are found in organs other than dedicated endocrine glands. Hormones are also help to regulate body flow, metabolism, biological clock, cardiac and smooth muscle activity, glandular secretion, immune function, and growth and development. The endocrine and nervous system work together to maintain homeostasis, support growth and development, and regulate reproduction. New secretory cells release neurohormone into the blood. Both hormone and neurohormone act as long-distance regulator of body processes. Type of hormonal control pathways. For the first one, simple endocrine pathways. The endocrine cell detects a stimulus and releases a hormone directly into the bloodstream. The hormone travels to the target organ and triggers a response. For example, pancreas releases glucagon when glucose is low. For the second one, simple neurohormone pathways. A stimulus activates a neuron. The neuron releases a neurohormone into the blood, which then releases target cell to produce a response. For example, sucking triggers oxytocin release for milk ejection. For the third one, simple neuroendocrine pathways. A neuron releases for neurohormone that stimulates an endocrine glands. The glands then release a second hormone into the blood, acting on the target tissues to create a response. For example, hypothalamus to pituitary to prolactin to milk production.
Intercellular communication refers to the various ways signals are transmitted between animal cells. These communication methods are classified based on two criteria, which is the type of secreting cell and the route taken by the signal in reaching its target. There are 5 forms of signaling, which is endocrine signaling, paracrine signaling, autocrine signaling, synaptic signaling, and neuroendocrine signaling. Endocrine signaling. Endocrine signaling means an endocrine cell releases hormones into the bloodstream which carries them to far away target cells. These hormones travel through the blood and only affect cells with matching receptors and helping control body functions. Second is paracrine signaling. Paracrine signaling is a type of cell communication where a cell releases chemical signals like growth factors or cytokines that affect only nearby cells. These signals do not travel through the bloodstream. Instead, they diffuse through the local tissue fluid and act over a short distance. Third is autocrine signaling. Autocrine signaling happens when a cell releases a chemical signal such as a hormone or cytokine, and that same signal binds to receptors on the very same cell that produces it. This allows the cell to regulate its own activity, almost like giving itself instructions. It's a fast and efficient way for a cell to control processes without relying on neighboring cells. Fourth is synaptic signaling. Synaptic signaling is how nerve cells communicate with each other when an electrical signal reaches the end of a neuron. The neuron releases chemical messengers called neurotransmitters into a tiny gap called a synapse. These chemicals then cross the gap and bind to receptors on the next neuron, passing the message along. Lastly, neuroendocrine signaling. Neuroendocrine signaling happens when nerve cells send signals to special neuroendocrine cells. These neuroendocrine cells respond by releasing hormones into the bloodstream. The hormones then travel through the blood two different organs in the body.
How hormone actually create response inside our cell. We have water-soluble hormone. These hormones can enter the cell, so they attach to receptor on the surface of the cell membrane. Once they bind, they trigger a signaling pathway inside the cytoplasm. This process is quite fast, so the cell responds quickly. Even though it's fast, it can still lead to change in gene expression. Then, we have lipid-soluble hormones. These hormones can easily slip through the cell membrane and enter the cell. They bind to receptors inside the cell or directly in the nucleus. After that, the receptor complex will change gene expression. This response is longer, but the effect usually lasts longer. So now, I will explain how the hypothalamus and pituitary gland work together. The hypothalamus acts like the boss or the control center. It sends signals to the pituitary gland to tell it when to release certain hormone. After receiving this signal, the pituitary will release hormones that affect many organs and glands in the body. Because of this teamwork, our body can manage things like growing, stress level, metabolism, and reproduction smoothly. So basically, the hypothalamus gives the instruction and the pituitary carries out the job. Now, let's look at the hormone released by the pituitary gland. First is the posterior pituitary. This part doesn't produce its own hormone. It only stores hormone made by the hypothalamus. It releases oxytocin, which helps during childbirth and make release, and ADH, which maintains our body water balance. Next is the atriopituitary, and this part a bit more complex because it makes and releases its own hormone. The hormones for the atriopituitary are divided into tropic and non-tropic hormones. Tropic hormones are hormones that target other glands, for example, TSH, ACTH, FSH, and LH. These hormones tell other glands what to do. Non-tropic hormones act directly on body tissue, for example, growth hormone and prolactin. So overall, the atriopituitary controls many processes like growth, reproduction, stress response, and metabolism.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Aina Zohaira binti Zulkifli and my student ID is 2024653166. Now I'm going to talk about trophic hormones. There is 4 trophic hormones. Number 1 is follicle stimulation hormone. Number 2 is luteinizing hormone. Number 3 is thyroid stimulating hormone. And number 4 is adrenocorticotropic hormone. Next, let's see the non-trophic hormones. Non-trophic hormones produced by anterior pituitary includes the prolactin that stimulates lactation in mammals. It also has diverse effect in different vertebrates. Second, melanocyte stimulation hormones that influences the skin pigmentation in some vertebrates, also fats, metabolism in mammals. And lastly is beta endorphin, which inhibit the sensation of pain. Now, let's see the trophic and non-trophic hormones. First is growth hormone. The function is to promote growth directly and has diverse metabolic effect for mechanism. It stimulates the production of growth factor by other tissue. Next is the non-pituitary hormones, which means hormones that are produced by glands other than the pituitary gland. And as for the role is to help regulate metabolism, homeostasis, development, and also behavior. The example of non-pituitary glands are thyroid glands, parathyroid glands, pancreas, adrenal glands, gonads, which is testes and ovaries, and also pineal gland. Thyroid gland. Thyroid gland consists of 2 lobes located on the ventral surface of the trachea, which produce 2 iodine-containing hormones of triiodothyronine, T3, and thyroxine, T4. Next is thyroid hormones. Thyroid hormones is essential for stimulating metabolism and also play a key role in body's development and also maturation. First, hypothyroidism, where thyroid glands produces two little hormones that make people gain weight, lethargy, and always cold. Second is hyperthyroidism, where thyroid glands produce an excessive amount of hormone, and the symptoms are having high temperature, sweating, and also weight loss. Lastly is malnutrition, which insufficient dietary iodine that can cause the thyroid gland to enlarge. This enlarged gland is called goiter. Then let's look at number 2, which is parathyroid gland. Parathyroid gland located on the back of the thyroid gland, which produce two antagonistic hormones, that is parathyroid hormones and also calcitonin. Calcitonin that secreted by thyroid gland stimulate calcium deposition in the bones and secretion by kidney, thus lowering blood calcium levels. As for the PTH, it is formed from parathyroid glands that raise blood calcium. It tells your bones and also kidney to release calcium into the blood, which helps activate vitamin D, then helps your intestine to absorb more calcium from your food that you eat. And lastly is about pancreas. Pancreas secreted glucagon and insulin, antagonistic hormones that help maintaining glucose homeostasis and found in cluster in islets of Langerhans. There is two types of cell in pancreas, which is glucagon that produced by the alpha cells and also insulin that produced by the beta cells.
Next, we will continue with insulin and glucagon. Insulin reduces blood glucose levels by promoting the cellular uptake of glucose, slowing glycogen breakdown in the liver and promoting fat storage. Glucagon increases blood glucose levels by stimulating the conversion of glycogen to glucose in the liver. Then, it's stimulating the breakdown of fat and protein into glucose. Diabetes mellitus, as known as endocrine disorder, is caused by a deficiency of insulin or a decreased response to insulin in target tissues. It is marked by elevated blood glucose levels. There are two types of diabetes mellitus. First, type 1, insulin-dependent diabetes. It is an autoimmune disorder which is the immune system destroys the beta cells of the pancreas. Type 2, non-insulin dependent diabetes, which is failure of target cells to respond normally in insulin. Next, insulin is produced but target cells fail to take up glucose from the blood. And lastly, blood glucose levels remain elevated. Adrenal gland. It is adjacent to the kidneys and made up of two glands, which is the adrenal medulla and the adrenal cortex. There are few hormones from the adrenal cortex, such as glucocorticoids such as cortisol, which is influence glucose metabolism and the immune system. Next, mineralocorticoids, aldosterone, which is affect cell and water balance. It is sex hormones and produced in small amounts. Next, gonads, which is located in testes and ovaries. It is produced most of the body sex hormones such as androgens, estrogens, and progestins. There are few gonadal sex hormones in estrogens. It is most important of estradiol. Next, it is responsible for maintenance of the female reproductive system. It is also known as the development of female secondary sex characteristic. In mammals, it is include progesterone and primarily involved in preparing and maintaining the uterus. Pineal gland is located within the brain. It secretes melatonin. Next, we will take a look at melatonin and biorhythms. It is release of melatonin. It is controlled by light or dark cycles. There are some primary functions of melatonin, such as related to biological rhythms associated with reproduction, secreted at night, and